Hi, my name is Cullen, and I'm a personal injury attorney in Winter Park, Florida. We talk to a lot of people who've been involved in accidents and a lot of people who have already discussed their claims with insurance companies. And a lot of people come to us because they're frustrated that the insurance company won't pay them what they want for their claims. So one of our paralegals in our office suggested that I do a video post about this and discuss what to do for someone who isn't being paid what they want to be paid for their personal injury claim. So I started to think about what I wanted to talk about and how I wanted to approach it. And as I thought about it, it seemed to me that that you got to look at this question through basically two different lenses or two different perspectives. So the first one is from the perspective of the injured person. And so some of the questions that popped into my mind about not being paid what you want for your case is, first of all, how did the injured person arrive at what a fair amount was for their case? Did they just make up the number out of thin air, or is it based on medical expenses, or did they talk to a friend? Did they do jury research to see what kind of jury verdicts come out of cases that have facts exactly like theirs? Have they done any research about how cases like theirs get settled and what the settlement values are? Because we find that a lot of people sort of just make numbers up, what seems fair to them, and they don't really have much basis for it. So it's hard for us to advise people and tell them, hey, here's what you think you want for your case, or you think you deserve for your case, without having some sort of background, without them providing us with some kind of background on how they came up with their number. And so I also thought about the case from the insurance company or defendant's perspective. And with defendants, if they're not offering you the kind of money that you want, sometimes it's an information issue. Sometimes you just haven't provided them with enough information or the quality of information that they need in order to be able to pay it to you. So in a lot of cases, that means medical expenses. A lot of insurance companies seem to create the valuations or their evaluations of claims based on medical expenses and lost wages and that sort of thing. So if an injured person hasn't provided them with the kind of information they like to get, which is patient ledgers and things like that show medical expenses paid, then that may be a reason why the insurance company is not paying you what you want. Insurance companies tend to evaluate cases based on a couple of different factors, and one of those is the information they're provided. Another one is what is their settlement experience or claims experience with the kind of case that you have. Unlike most injured people, insurance companies have thousands and thousands and thousands of claims that they have experience with, and they know based on factors like this kind of accident, these kinds of injuries, they know what those cases typically will settle for in a geographic area. So it might be in Florida, it might be in the Orlando area, or it might be nationally, but they can come up with a number, a pretty reliable number, on what cases like XYZ case tend to settle for. Insurance companies also have a lot of data about what jury verdicts are on particular kinds of cases. So and that information is also available to plaintiffs' lawyers and really anyone who wants to pay for access to the information. But there is information out there that will tell you what kind of jury verdicts. So that's numbers of, that's when a jury has heard the evidence in a case and decides the evidence and issues a number, a verdict. And so there's information out there where you can find what cases like yours have garnered in terms of jury verdicts. So insurance companies have that kind of information too. And so they have the ability to create a settlement range or a range of numbers that they're willing to pay on a particular case. And so that range many times depends on the plaintiff or the injured person, what kind of presentation they make. Are they a nice person? Do they have a criminal record? Do they not have a criminal record? And so that's how they kind of decide how much to offer on cases. So if you don't like the number that the insurance company has offered you, then sometimes it's a you problem. Sometimes you haven't provided the right information, or you've misevaluated your case. And sometimes, more rarely, it's a them problem, is they're not seeing something that they ought to be seeing that ought to make them make you a more reasonable offer on your case. So when we find people that have run into this problem, many times those kinds of cases where there's a big disagreement require litigation, that require a lawyer to be involved. Not every time, but many times. And sometimes once a lawyer gets involved and assesses the information that's available and makes the right arguments that touch the insurance company in terms of their evaluation in the right places, many times we can get those cases settled later. Sometimes we can't, and those are the kind of cases that have to be tried. So if you have any questions about how insurance companies evaluate cases or how to present information that will help an insurance company evaluate your case and make you a fair offer, call us. We love to answer questions. You can call our office at 407-254-4901. You can always text us at 407-644-4444, or you can even message us through the Facebook Messenger app.